Welcome to the Podpunk Show.
All right, so how's it going there, Aaron? How was your Thanksgiving?
It was pretty good. We had some ham, we had some potatoes.
Oh, very nice, very nice. I met up with a little bit of family, kept it very, very small and, you know, in the bubbles and all that good stuff. Just building off of what you were saying last week with your daughter, I got to be around my brother and what would be my niece. She's about 2 years old, and I literally just watched a baby be dragged up a flight of stairs while laughing and crying at the same time. Like literally both at the same time.
In a way of like, you're like, oh wow, like diabolical, right? Like just absolutely.
Like honestly, like if I would have saw it in a movie, girl wins best actor, actress of that year. Like it was two emotions at once. I've never seen it before in my entire life.
2 years old is like the exact age of like, you start to have like a will in the world, and if that will is not met, there will be hell to pay.
Yeah, it's like a crushing response. We were going to pick up a cake for a birthday, and basically my brother was having his birthday, and we just had a Disney themed birthday because that's where he's at in his life. So everything's Mickey. And we went to go get the cake, and the lady behind the counter is like, what type of cake do you want? We have vanilla, chocolate, strawberry. We're trying to include her. And she just stares at this lady and goes, Mickey. And they're like, okay, you know, we've already picked out the Mickey cake. She's like, oh, okay, that's cute. Do we want velvet, red velvet? Do we want funfetti? And she's just like, Mickey. And it's like one of those situations where like you know, when you're around like gorillas, if you smile or laugh at them, it gives the wrong signal. It's like,
right?
It's the exact same thing. I was like, you don't understand.
Do not show your teeth.
Yes, do not make eye contact. Do not show your teeth, and just nod and say Mickey.
I want this cake to taste like the blood of the mouse.
Yes, exactly. I want it to taste like Disney smells.
I want the frosting to whistle like Steamboat Willie, motherfucker.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like, oh man, yeah. There's something else, man. That's a crazy age.
It's fun. Charlie's actually sick. She had like a real bad cold.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, but I got to sleep in today, so like,
that's good.
Like, I feel bad that she's sick, but we have YouTube Kids on the iPad, and I made her an account.
Oh,
so
cool.
Like, she woke up. I'm like, I gave her some water, and she looked sleepy. So I'm like, I'm just gonna give her the iPad, and I'm gonna like put her in bed next to me. And I fell asleep, and I woke up again at 10:30, and she was also asleep.
Oh wow, that's amazing. How does YouTube Kids work? Is that like designed specifically for kids?
Yeah, so it's all like kid content. It's all sequestered. Like they can't, like there's a search function, but like you can also set the age range. And I have YouTube Premium, so like there's no ads. I don't want to see ads.
I would be interested to see like what words get opened up into what age range. You know what I mean?
Because it has to be stuff that's like marked on YouTube as for kids. But it's also like she finds like weird videos. Like there's this weird Russian video where they take like the characters from not Paw Patrol. It's some other Disney Channel show, like Disney Kids show. They take little action figures and they like dip them into a cup of a liquid and pull out, and like it's like it looks like acid, like their body disappears.
That's weird.
But it's like a magic trick, like it's an editing trick, because at the end then they put their bodies back on with it. But I'm like, I don't.
Yeah, that's gonna mess some people up,
right? And it's like the whole like name of the video and the channel's like all in Russian, so like I don't know.
You don't know what's going on.
She'll sit there and totally watch a video in Portuguese for 45 minutes.
Next thing you know, they're making like little Manchurian candidates out of your kids.
So I try to block those when I can, but also like there's like a whole thing of like parents like with YouTube, like they just make YouTube videos with their kids.
Okay.
So it'd be like a 6-year-old girl has like a YouTube channel, but like obviously someone's filming and editing and doing like sparkles on unicorns and shit in After Effects. So like someone's like a stay-at-home mom who's like, this is my job now.
Oh man, that's got to be the worst. Like, you know, like I think the stay-at-home moms that like get involved with the beauty pageants and stuff, and like now I can just imagine they're like, yo, I'm gonna turn you into a YouTube star.
You smile and you pimp Squarespace, you little shit.
If I would have had YouTube when I was your age, I would have been huge. Shut up and smile.
Make it beautiful or no dinner.
Oh my God. I hate people. Because you know this is happening.
Mention the templates, all the Squarespace templates.
Oh yeah. Did you comment back and like?
If they don't ring the bell, so help me God, I will kill your Barbie.
Oh man. So what are we doing this week?
We're doing the one band that I can do from memory. It's the only band I know the name of everybody in it.
Yeah, this is going to be probably one of your all-time favorite bands, right?
In my life, this is my favorite band. Like for the longest time,
this is the numero uno.
Yeah, this was my punk rock like cherry. This is like how I got into it. This is the reason I became a musician, was because of their bass player. Like finding this band when I was I had to be like 9 or 10. That changed my course. That was a fork in the road.
Just for you to be able to because I was such a square, I was such a nerd when it came to music. What was it? The NoFX album,
Pump Up the Volume.
Pump Up the Volume. I thought it was like Nightmare Before Christmas style, like horror band. You know what I mean? So the fact that you were able to find this band at such an early age, I'm jealous of your coolness.
A lot of credit goes to my dad and not really censoring what I listen to.
So I guess without further ado, this week we are focusing in on Rancid.
She's automatic, so automatic. The way that she moves, the way that she moves. She's automatic, so automatic. The way that she moves.
Woo!
Yeah, and out come the wolves.
Why don't let's go into basically our first first impressions of this album. When was I want to get to yours first because mine's not going to be as cool. What was your first, situation where you heard this? You mentioned your dad before. You were super young. What's the background?
So the first thing I ever heard that had Rancid on it was the Hellcat compilation Give 'Em the Boot in 2000 maybe. So I was around 10, 11 maybe.
Okay.
And they did a cover of an old British oi punk band, Sham 69, a song called Kids Are United. And I'm going to play a clip because it has a bass line that I still to this day cannot play.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about that in a minute.
But I heard that and I was like, okay, what's that instrument? And my dad's like, that's the bass. I'm like, no, but the one that's doing all the cool stuff. And he's like, that's the bass. I'm like, okay, cool. Now I want to my dad and grandpa played bass. I didn't give a shit.
Right.
But I heard Matt Freeman. I'm like, oh, that's actually fucking dope.
Yeah. And actually, let's get right into it. So what's cool with Matt is when we listen to punk rock and we listen to pop punk, a lot of the times what the bassist is doing is nothing. Usually a lot of times we'll see the bassist being the lead singer. It's kind of like somebody that can sing but doesn't really know how to play the instrument, and then you just throw them on it, or they just play the root notes. This guy
he fleshes out the song. Honestly, if you take any Rancid track and you take him out of it,
yeah,
it becomes 30 to 70% less interesting.
He is the signature component to Rancid. He is the secret recipe, the secret sauce to Rancid. He's just basically, both of their guitars are not very prominent. And when we get into later Rancid or different albums of Rancid besides Out Come the Wolves, that's going to be a little bit different. But for the most part, this is kind of what would you say this record is? It's kind of like a ska meets pop punk meets punk rock. It's kind of like a hybrid, right?
Oh, it's the 90s Clash.
Yes.
If you listen to a lot of the Clash, you listen to Rancid, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, so they're like the Clash.
Yeah, exactly. And so but the way that the bass is just filling in between, it's almost as important as the melodies are to the song. It's literally the spine of every song.
Yeah, he's doing counter melodies and listening to Out Come the Wolves. So Out Come the Wolves is their third record. Yeah. They had their self-titled in 93. In 94, they had Let's Go, which is when Lars joined.
Yes.
Which is huge. We'll talk a lot about Tim and Lars and that dynamic later. The first two records are very good, but this record, it's all bangers. And the biggest thing with Matt, since we're on that topic, is he finds a way to be both prominent and it's intricate, but that's not what makes it interesting. It's tasteful. He plays a lot, but he's not overplaying.
Yeah,
anymore.
no, he's never annoying. It's he's the only guy, and his style is so unique. Because he's not really Flea is kind of so funky, and Flea's kind of he's almost pumping the funk out through him and he's playing it through the bass. Matt's kind of just playing scales for the most part. He's just riding up and down, and it's very, very, it's complicated, but it's very simple, and it's just absolutely perfect. It's almost like seeing somebody that has we always talk about comedy, but it's just such a well-polished set from start to finish that you never even realize you're watching a guy tell jokes. It's just poof.
Yeah, it's a lot. If bringing it to comedy, it's a lot it's almost like a one-liner comic where timing is everything. When he chooses to add in a little run up to the next note, or he plays the third instead of the root. Also, I noticed on this album, there's one of their big tools or tricks on this album to get a lot of dynamic sounds is he'll drop out Lockstep and Gone. He drops out, so they just have that na 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 na, and then he comes in, and then he drops back out for the beginning of the next verse.
Oh, it's so good.
So and it's a masterclass in tasteful playing as a bass player.
Oh yeah, it's 100%. And it's like earlier today, I was showing my niece, I was playing a little bit of Rancid for her. And, it's just so funny because the name is Rancid. And, you listen to them and they sound like their like vocals have been like ran through like a cheese grater. You know what I mean? It's just like half the time you don't even know what Tim is saying. And it's just so good because like they move so quick and they're just always there before you even get used to like whatever the melody is or whatever the song is doing, it just pivots and goes to a new part. And it's all driven by Matt. Like there's like one part where they come over with the guitar and then the guitar stops and they come in with the chant and the chant stops. And all of a sudden Matt just starts playing like a medley underneath it. And it just keeps the song going. And it's just like, oh, this is so good.
Dude, listening to this made me realize I think the reason I love punk rock in general is like it doesn't last long enough for me to get bored. Like this album is like 50 minutes long. It has 19 songs on it.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And I think that's the reason I can never get into emo and I can't get into Jimmy Eat World and stuff is because it's like, dude, I get it. Like get to the next part. Like,
well, it makes sense.
Yeah. Like I like it short and sweet. Like I don't need you to like play the same thing 30 times. Like just give me the good stuff, cut it out. Like,
yeah. And it's like,
bing, bang, boom.
It's like, it's almost like, I want to know like which came first, like the chicken or the egg. But like, so many people that were like real punkers in high school, they were always like the misfits and like, they were like the ADHD kids that just never could like, you know what I mean? To think like you're drawn to like that style of music, like almost like it's singing to you. It's on the same frequency where you're like, oh my God, I get this.
You don't meet very many dumb punks. Like
no.
There's some, you have that one kid, but like people who like are really into punk rock, like there's like we've talked about it before, like fucking the dude from Offspring, the dude from Descendants, the dude from Bad Religion all have like fucking doctorates.
Yeah. And like we always kid around, but like some of the smartest people we know are like anarchists, which is like an oxymoron. You know what I mean?
Because like punk rock really draws in like intelligent misfits.
Yeah, it's people that want to be able to like have a structured debate, and they, it's very political. It's always been aligned in that and changing society or changing like your background.
I've actually I've talked with friends of mine like in the past, like what hip hop and rap is to the black community, especially like early hip hop, is what punk rock was to like lower class white kids. Like if you were like poor and white.
Oh my God, that's such a good analogy.
Punk rock is your, like they are speaking to you in your life where you live in a place where like there's fucking broken windows and shit, and like meth heads when you're 9.
And like just to build on this a little bit more is like that's kind of like the genre Rancid is coming out of. Like Rancid is like street punk, or like I always kid around and I call it like kind of like crusties. It's Days and Days kind of rolls with that. It's the guys you see around, they have the tattoos that are like green and faded. It almost looks like prison tats, and like they're always wearing like the vests with like all the pins put to it, and everything's held together by clothespins, and they have the spiky hair. Very intimidating looking crowd. Nicest people you'll ever meet. It's all family.
And like Tim is very crusty.
Oh, very crusty. He's like,
Tim had some hard years between Operation Ivy and Rancid.
Yeah, like you know how like Mr. Clean is the epitome of clean? Like Tim is Mr. Crust. He's the epitome of crust. Like he's absolutely. And it's just like it's so amazing. And this album, like it's one of the big 4 of the early 90s. And like we've touched on a lot of these, and we've actually talked about one of these albums before, and we're going to eventually get on all 4 of them. But like I was looking at it, and we got Green Day Dookie, we got The Offspring, we've got Bad Religion, and then we've got this album right here. And they all came out in a very, very short time. And all these albums are pretty much connected either by Rancid through Green Day or Mr. Brett, like in general. But they were 4 monumental albums that changed the game in the early 90s.
Oh, absolutely. Well, like there is a huge bidding war for Rancid for this album.
Yeah, that's where the name comes from. And Out Come the Wolves. That's the yeah.
Well, did you hear? I don't know in your research if you came across this. Like, since this is my favorite band, it's the only band I actually know shit about.
Oh, I know.
Did you hear the story about Madonna?
No. Tell me the story about Madonna.
Okay, so Green Day pops off in like 93, 94. It gets fucking enormous. Like there's this whole, like everyone's going to like the Bay Area and looking for punk bands to sign.
Right.
And the obvious choice is Rancid, 2 members of the seminal Operation Ivy. Like they are the obvious golden child to pick in this in that moment.
Right. And this scene was the Gilman scene, which we've talked about in past episodes. So the Gilman Street, which was, basically we always kid around, but now it's a nonprofit, but it was basically the Harvard of like do it yourself itself like community punk. And it created Operation Ivy, which becomes Rancid. And then from that whole group, you have Green Day, which always wanted to be into the Gilman scene, but Green Day was never allowed in because they went to a major label. But like, it's all connected.
Well, they were in before, like Green Day was playing Gilman a ton before they got signed. Once they got signed, Gilman Street made a rule that you couldn't be on a major label and play Gilman anymore.
That's awesome.
But anyway, so there's this huge bidding war, and one of the people who really wants to sign Rancid is Madonna wants to sign them to her imprint. Like, you know how like they give big artists their own little label underneath a real label?
Yeah, exactly. They just to keep them busy.
So Madonna wanted to sign Rancid, and the story that I've heard a lot from different sources over the years is that she sent a naked photo and a letter to the band, a naked photo of herself and a letter to the band trying to get them to sign onto her label.
That's awesome. So her label at the time is Maverick Records, which I love the name because like, it's so Madonna right there. But yeah, so like they're all just trying to like smooth and get this band like and do whatever they can. And the reason why is because like if you're a major record label and like you're looking at these guys, like they're a wet dream because like they're so authentic. Like you couldn't even like put it together, and everything was just clicking at the time where punk was like taking off. And just like the way we are as humans, we're so stupid. We have to be like acclimated to it. Rancid was the least palatable. So it was like, it made sense that they're the last to pop. You know what I mean? We have Bad Religion already like blowing up, and Epitaph is a thing. Epitaph is a thing because now the Offspring is all over the radio and it's the most successful independent album of all time. And now we're going north and we have the Gilman Street explosion with Green Day coming out of it, and then Rancid is the natural progressor to this whole situation.
Yeah, like they're like if you were like scouting for a baseball team, like they're the obvious draft pick at that time.
Oh yeah.
But they stuck with Epitaph, who released their first two albums. Like they didn't go
so
major
badass.
label. Like, and it's such a good record. Like I haven't listened to this record in years, and it's not my favorite Rancid record, but I put this on and I'm like, yeah, this is their, like, it's not my favorite Rancid record, it is their best record.
Oh, definitely. And it's like, it's that perfect because it's the third album again. And it's just, that's when the band, like, it doesn't even matter if you get signed to a major label or if now we learned if you're on an independent label. But if you are a band that is set for success, the third album is when it's going to happen. Obviously, there's always, exceptions to the rules and situations, but it just makes perfect sense. It's almost like when you watch a television show and the first season kind of sets it up and the second season kind of builds it. And usually it's the third season when it's at its peak and everything's the most popular because it takes the momentum of building that up. This was it. And it's just to me amazing because like they knew it. They had all the record labels fighting over them and they're able to call it, and out come the wolves. And then they still go, fuck you guys. We're going to stick with Mr. Brett because he believed in us from the beginning. And that's the most punk rock thing to do right now.
Fuck yeah, dude. Like honor and loyalty is really big to Rancid as a band. Like they're, I don't remember what number. It's their album that came out after Indestructible is called, no, the one after that album, because it's Indestructible, Let the Dominoes Fall, then Honor Is All We Know is a name of a Rancid album.
Yeah, that's in 2014 it came out.
Yeah, honestly, after Indestructible, like I've listened to their newer albums, but I've never like dug in because I think it was like I was past that part of my life.
Right, and that makes sense. Like it's definitely an early angst. You know what I mean? Like you're either all committed to that lifestyle or it's like something that's going to kind of capture a portion of your life.
And that's also so Let the Dominoes Fall. That was their first album with like, so Rancid starts, like, let's get into history. So Rancid starts around 91, 92.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens is Operation Ivy breaks up around 89.
Right, which is one of the best bands that never happened.
Yeah, like they were huge in their scene. They put out an album, they toured, and like they just kind of fell apart. They were all really young kids too. Yeah. So like Tim and Matt, by the way, Tim Armstrong and Matt Freeman have been friends since they were 5 years old.
So incredible.
They met playing Little League when they were 5. And like they're still best friends this many years later.
Isn't that great when just something clicks?
Right? When you just happen to like befriend the best punk bass player to ever live when you were 5.
Yeah. Yeah. And Matt's definitely the rock of this band.
So, but what happens is they kind of split up. Tim gets really into alcoholism. He like really falls off, gets into hard drugs and alcoholism. He's living on the streets. Matt moves down to, this is actually, most of the story is in the song Journey to the End of East Bay.
Okay.
So Matt goes down to New Orleans. He's playing in other bands. I think he played in Millions of Dead Cops, MDC. He's like, a guy of that skill level, like he's going to find work easily.
Yeah. And like, that's what I love too about Matt is like, even when Tim, who's the other like main part of the band, is having issues and he physically can't like continue to go on, Matt will like find a way. You know what I mean? It's not like he just like falls into the thing. Like he's like I'm still gonna do this. Like I love playing bass.
Yeah, he's just a rock solid dude. So he comes back. They start another band before Rancid called Dancehall Crashers.
Okay.
Which they leave, and that band goes on without them. Like finds new members, and that's actually a band that like is great. Dancehall Crashers is a great ska band. But they start Rancid, and so they find a drummer. His name's Brett Reed. They teach him how to play drums. This is around the early 90s. They put out their first album. They put out Rancid self-titled. I don't know what year. I think it was 92, 93.
Yeah, it came out, like, I know they were together for a little while, and then the first album comes out. And it does well. Like, you know, it doesn't blow up, but, like, it definitely drew attention. They were like, oh, shit, it's the Operation Ivy dudes. And like, oh, wow, this isn't bad.
Yeah, it's got great songs on it, like Detroit and St. Mary. Oh, no, St. Mary's on the next one. So then they're looking around. They co-write a song with Billy Joe from Green Day before Dookie comes out. So this is pre-Dookie, and they actually offer to him to join Rancid, and he turns them down. He's going to stick with his boys Trey, and I cannot remember the bass player of Green Day right now, and I'm super embarrassed.
Mike Dirnt.
I could see his fucking hair, and I could see his signature bass and his signature amp, but I could not pull his name for some reason in that second.
Yeah, he looks like a 1950s rockabilly guy.
Yeah, he looks the same as he did in like 30 years ago.
Oh, anyway, he's never aged, yeah.
So they meet Lars, this kid from Sherman Oaks down by Oakland, and they offer him a spot, and he's kind of on the fence because he's kind of got his own thing going, and he goes to his brother. He's like, I don't know what to do, and his brother's like, are you an idiot? Like, you're not going to join the best fucking band you're ever going to play in?
Yeah.
He joins Rancid. They put out Let's Go. It's a good album, very solid, and then they come out with That Now Come the Wolves, because that's when they're like really getting things together. And that was the lineup until like 2012 or so, when Brett Reed left and they replaced him with Brandon Stecker, the kid from The Used.
Yeah, the guy from The Used, which is that was a band that I loved too. I was so shocked when that happened. That like I think Brandon might have quit The Used to join Rancid full time.
He did. He 100%, like, his favorite band growing up was Rancid.
Yeah.
So when they asked him, he like, you literally quit The Used that day.
He started The Used too with Bert. Like, he's one of the founding members of The Used. So like that's how like when Rancid calls you, like you get off and you do it. I was reading on the first show, because I think it was like a show over in England. He had to fill in for the tour because like it kind of came out of nowhere that the original drummer was quitting the band, or maybe they knew about it but they just didn't plan for it. I don't know the whole backstory. But Brandon, and hopefully you can fill us in on it if you do it. But he started playing for them, and they actually went for like another 45 minutes off set, and he was able to play all the songs because he's such a fan of the band. And they were like, yeah, dude, this guy is the guy.
Yeah, he just it'd be like I was gonna ask you this: what band would be your dream band to get called up to play in?
I mean, oh god, you know, it still would be Brand New. Like, I love Brand New. Like, that would be like my dream band. But like, oh man, there's a couple that I totally would have dropped everything to join. Are you kidding?
Oh yeah, like if Billy Talent's like, we need a bass player, I'm like, I'm not your guy, but I'll do it until you kick me out.
Absolutely, you have to. But like, just to think, like, can you imagine like starting a band and it being like The Used was huge, and then just Rancid's like one night you just the stars line up, you get to play with your idols, and it just goes so well that they're like, we need you. Like, you the only way we can continue to do this is with you.
Yeah, they recorded Let the Dominoes Fall, their first album, with him at his home studio in Colorado.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I'm happy for him. Like later Rancid, like I said, it's like not as much my thing, because I think I aged out of it a little. But yeah, no, it's great. What's your first memory or like impression of Rancid?
So Rancid is like is an interesting one, because when I started getting into music and all that in like 2002, 2003, I really started getting into it. I got into Rancid like right away. My best friend Josh was into them. He loved And Out Come the Wolves, and he was starting to like really give me like my education on like what music is like good and why, and like these are the different genres. And so he gave me this, and I went out and immediately bought it. Like, I loved it, and I had a man crush on Lars for like, I think I still do. I think he's one of the coolest fucking guitarists like ever. Just the attitude that he has. I remember I saw them at the Warped Tour, and I was just so intimidated by them because like the name is Rancid, and like they look like they're coming out of prison. And
speaking of that, really quick, I completely forget that the word rancid means anything else.
Yes, right? Like, they are rancid, but like it's rotting dead flesh. It's rotting meat.
Yeah. But like I anytime somebody uses it in that context, like it takes me a second to remember that word means something besides my favorite punk band.
Yeah, isn't that great? Like, they're so powerful. And so they came out for the Warped Tour, and I just like, I fell in love. Like, just Tim plays lefty, which to me is weird. And he sags the guitar. The guitar is like down to his ankles. Like, he just plays so freaking weird. And Lars just looks like he wants to like punch somebody in the face. Like, he's just so fucking angry. And they're just so damn good live, man. Ugh.
And Tim plays a Gretsch. He plays like a original like 1960s Gretsch, like a guitar made for like bluegrass players.
Yeah, he plays it like a stand-up bass almost.
And he beats the shit out of it too. Like it is scratched to fuck. And he also, I don't know if you got a chance to watch like any live clips of them, because I've only seen him live once. But my favorite thing about Tim is like, so Lars plays, he's holding it down. Tim plays, holds it down. Drummer plays. Tim will play a lead part here and there, but like most of the time he just like, he doesn't face the crowd and he just wanders around, and then he comes up to the mic to sing a part and then just like wanders off.
He's out of control. Like he's like he looks like he's like in a heroin delirium the entire time he's on stage. But yeah, I know exactly what you mean. It's almost like comical to watch, because like he's talented. Like he's very good at it. And it's just like he doesn't really play live. It's awesome.
Right? Like he has that constant feeling of like he's just too fucking cool to be here.
He's like squirming out of his body too.
Yeah, he has the weirdest stage presence out of anyone I've ever seen.
Yeah, I watched their Saturday Night Live performances, which were incredible. It's just the fact that band was even on NBC Live.
Because this is like Mohawk Tim. Like,
oh yeah.
Before he started wearing the fucking pork pie hat or whatever it is he wears.
This is back when like Tipper Gore is trying to get like rap music banned and stuff. Like this band was a threat. Like they were not looked at as like something you wanted your kids to listen to.
Right. I'm sure there's a Christian pamphlet from like 1995 being like, if your kid listens to these bands, you need to get them right with the Lord. If they listen to Rancid or
100%.
Anthrax or NoFX.
100%. And like the scary thing with Rancid is like they're not playing a part. Like these are not dudes that grew up in a rich town and now they have on like tattoos. Like these are legitimately like what they are.
Right? Like they are literally like they're not people who come from like industry families or like had an in. They were just so fucking good you couldn't tell them no.
So we're talking about Rancid. We're going through their history. You were talking about how they were blown up. They get signed very quickly to Epitaph Records. Epitaph snatches them the fuck up. Like Mr. Brett sees them, grabs them, and he doesn't work on their first album. He did like a little bit of the engineering on it, but he produces their second album. And then the bidding war starts. Like this band had such a fight over them from major record labels. And basically, like I've seen that happen to like a bunch of my friends. Even our band at one point, we had like bidding wars going on. And what it is just like labels get interested in you and they see the potential. And then all of a sudden it's like high school where like there's a new person in your high school and like one girl likes that new person, then every girl likes the new person. Everybody just falls in love. And there was a lot going on with this band. Like Aaron was talking about earlier about how Madonna and Maverick Records were trying to get them. Every record label wanted this band. Like it's actually hilarious that they didn't sign with the major record label.
Yeah, I know Rob Cavallo tried to sign him to Warner Brothers.
Oh yeah, and
he did succeed. They did release Indestructible on Warner Brothers.
They did, which was a huge controversy from what I was reading. It was a big deal.
Yeah, at that time I was like, I was torn because there was the punk part of me that was like, man, fuck them, and then there's part of me that was like, yeah, dude, get fucking paid. Like,
so that Warner Brothers one, they actually put out on Warner Brothers for the distribution, but they didn't put anywhere on the album like the Warner Brothers information, because like there was such a backlash about the information when the people found out.
Oh, that's amazing. Indestructible is a good album too. Like it got hate when it came out, but it's also a good fucking album. Yeah,
you know what I love too is like that's right when like message boards were blowing up. So like that's just like bullshit like bands wouldn't have had to deal with before. Like if this was happening in the 90s, there would have been like people bitching about it, but like it would have died out in like 2 seconds. You know what I mean?
Right, because there wasn't some place you could go jerk off about it.
Yeah, exactly. So now like people get on there so, oh my god, I think Rancid is fucking selling out. Blah blah blah.
Yeah,
as their anarchist 420 username.
And the whole sellout thing is like, dude, just let them get paid.
Yeah, exactly.
I love where this album sits in their discography too, because you have the first two albums which are pretty similar to each other, and it's kind of, you can tell that's like the bass like Rancid sound, like that type of punk. You have Out Come the Wolves, which expands more into ska, expands more into like their Clash influence, and also like shows what like they can make when you give them some money in the studio and they know how to make records now.
Yeah.
After this, they come out with Life Won't Wait, which is super like just checkerboard for days with like heavy dance hall ska, and like that's actually my favorite Rancid album, but it's very ska. And they come out in 2000 with their second self-titled album, Rancid 2000, which is all like fucking just like hard-hitting 2-minute, just like quick as like fast as fuck.
You know, it's
just straight punk songs.
You know what's funny too is that's the first album on Hellcat, so that's Tim's, you know, imprint. Which I didn't realize this whole time. I thought Hellcat was Tim Armstrong's like label, which it is, but it's an imprint of Epitaph. I had no idea about that.
Yeah, Tim signs everybody and like runs it, but like all the distros done by Epitaph.
Yeah, and so like now that I'm thinking about it though, like that's the only way to let Tim do a record label. Like Tim cannot have his own record label. Like, you know what I mean? Like Tim's got to go out there. He's got to have like the pride of having his own label and finding the bands, but then let the other label do all the business.
I cannot actually imagine Tim Armstrong in a suit.
Can you imagine him like trying to work out like a contract? Like, yeah, so we want to contract. I'm gonna get inside, and then I'm gonna go out, and I'm gonna get here, huh?
Yeah, his singing style, by the way, too. I sent you a clip or a song on Spotify.
Mm-hmm.
He is literally Joe Strummer, but way more unintelligible. Like, you could tell the influence, and then like there's also like rumors of like, oh, he sings that way because he shot heroin into his tongue or something. Or,
I'm not gonna lie, it sounds like he's like in a heroin daze when he is singing. So, you know, who knows,
right? Like, but he's like, yeah, his singing style. Like, I don't know the lyrics. Like, I also realized that also is why that never bothered me, because I don't listen to lyrics. Like, because Tim literally sings like the teacher from fucking Charlie Brown.
Yeah.
That's how I understand. Like, that's how I remember like most songs anyway. Like, I know the melody and it goes na na ba ba da da ba da, but I don't know the words to the songs I love anyway. So the fact that I don't know what he's singing didn't matter to me.
Well, you know, that's actually, you're bringing up a really, really good point, because like that's one thing that Rancid does do, and they do it amazing, is they write the catchiest, chantiest lyrics. You know what I mean? Like, they don't need to be able to sing, and you don't need to be able to understand them. It's just, it's undeniably catchy.
Yeah, let me play a little clip of Lockstep and Gone. I think that's a good example of like a good hook.
Awesome.
All the dogs are quiet, and there's no shit's coming in. I lost it, but it once was a riot. There's a whole lot of nothing. I lost it, stop sign broken and the meter's going down. Wild dogs are running themselves into the ground. Everything was clear for that moment in time. If I don't come back, throw me a line. Our end isn't here, but it's coming real soon. Yeah, the feeling isn't fear, it's just telling you to move.
Their songwriting is like, it's layered. It's like, it's not simple, just like you have a verse part, you have a chorus part. Like, it has some dynamics to it, like you were saying.
Yeah, they're really good. And so for this third album, you said like, this is what it's going to sound like when Rancid gets some money. And this is like what I think is genius about this. And this is my, like, I'm just taking this away. Like, none of this I read or anything. But from what it looks like here is like Mr. Brett like realizes like what he has going on. So Mr. Brett he produced the second album. He doesn't produce this album. Like, he doesn't want to. And it's almost like he knows like it's too important of an album. Like, you know what I mean? And like the way I look at that almost too is not saying like he couldn't have produced it. It's like, you never be your own lawyer. So like he owns the record label, and they're about to have like another like huge hit. And basically he's prepping for that. So they bring in a protege of Rob Cavallo. His name is Jerry Finn, and he is going to go on and produce this album. And this is a really pivotal album for this guy, because he crushes it, like absolutely crushes it. And he ends up blowing up, and he goes on to do like Blink 182, Sum 41. He's actually known for creating some of the pop punk sound that we all loved. Like, he's like the mastermind behind it, like coming up with the whole like how to record it, and everyone started mimicking him. Dude just drops dead at the age of 39. Brain aneurysm.
Such a loss.
So my new thing is like, I look up brain aneurysms. Oh my fucking God, dude. You could just drop dead right now. Like, did you know that? Mm-hmm. Like, literally right now. Hold on. Like, right now you could just drop dead.
Yeah.
Or even right now. Like, literally right now, it's a miracle that you're still fucking alive.
Yeah, it's like getting struck by lightning, but indoors.
Yeah. So it's just absolutely horrifying. And like, this guy though, like, if you've never heard of him, like, go look him up. Like, his discography is incredible. He's one of the most, I mean, he's obviously like, he's known throughout it, but if he didn't die at 39, I don't even know like what he would have been capable of, or like what other bands we would have like ended up getting, because like he would have eventually started looking up bands himself, and then like actually growing them and recording them.
I think we do a good job on this show of is like, we have a lot of respect for and understanding of what a producer does and doesn't do.
Mm-hmm.
In the world, like we understand music, we understand it most through the way it is recorded.
Right.
And you can take the exact same musicians playing the exact same chords and notes and singing the exact same melodies, but the way you record it changes so much about how well you can understand it, the definition of the kick drum and the snare, and like that the tone of it. Like, it is such a art form unto itself to mix and master and engineer a record. Most people don't give enough credit to, but is an art form unto itself. You could be an amazing guitar player like a fucking Steve Vai or Joe Satriani. You could be a Matt Freeman on bass. You could be an amazing drummer, but being an amazing engineer and producer is something just as difficult, except even more so because it's so much more intangible.
Oh yeah. And like this guy, like he was just the perfect guy. Cause like from what I was reading, he's not very like in your, like some producers, they want to like take over the band. Like he just was perfect at capturing whatever you were trying to do. Like the only way to describe it would be like Rancid is this amazing, like this album from Rancid is this amazing masterpiece. And he knew like the right frame to put it in to really complement the picture. And then he put like the right type of glass over it that isn't going to let the colors fade. Like that's all he did.
Yeah.
He
knows exactly the way the bottle needs to be shaped to hold this lightning.
And this album is just so good. Would you say like this album is their closest to going back to Operation Ivy that they had to that point?
To that point, yes. But Life Won't Wait is like, that is straight up like they made all their money on And Out Come the Wolves, like, and they make the record they want to make. And Life Won't Wait is super ska.
Super
like,
ska.
That is, yeah. Like it has like cameos by Bijou Benton, who's like a dance hall dude from Jamaica.
Oh wow.
It has the Slackers, who are signed to Hellcat and is like are like a super like dance hall, like has an organ ska band. It has like a very specials vibe. It has a cameo by the singer from Mighty Mighty Boss Tones.
Oh, we love him.
The one guy who made the one guy, if you put him and Tim next to each other, like, oh, I know what
my
he's
God,
saying.
dude. That's a band that I want to hear. Call it like Marble Mouth or something. Dude, can you imagine them doing like an Under Pressure duet? The other thing too, like I got to give Rancid.
Wait. Which one's Bowie? Which one's Fred? Because I think you have to give the Freddie part to the dude from Mighty Mighty, because like he has to be the most understood.
Oh my God, yeah. And like, where do you go with that? But the Freddie part too, like you would think the Freddie part's a little bit more vocally dynamic, and like that's gonna be like you got to give that to Tim, because like the other guy is just gonna gravel. But I would want to hear him on the Freddie part.
Oh my God, if I had $1 billion, I would fucking make them do this.
Do you think it would even cost that much? Or you're just saying if you were a billionaire, you'd have the refunds to give it?
Yeah, like I would just be able to be like, I will give you each $100 million to record Under Pressure.
Oh my God, that would be incredible. You could get My Chemical Romance to do the music for it.
Yeah, by the way, can I just say how fucking cocky it was of fucking Gerard and Burt McCracken to think they can do Under Pressure?
Yeah, it's like, fuck you.
On their own, in like outside of that one moment, I got nothing against these, I got nothing against My Chemical Romance, but as soon as you're like, okay, I'll be Freddie and you be David Bowie, you can fuck straight off.
And it was like so dumb too, because like they tried to recreate that like bisexual chemistry that was going on at the time. You know what I mean? Like they wanted everyone to think like, oh my God, are they actually into each other too?
I'm sure they probably touched tips so they could get in like the zone. Your band didn't do that before you recorded albums to really like zone in?
We did it before live shows, but we didn't really do it before the albums. Like that was a different situation.
All right, everybody tips in.
And break.
Everybody leans back.
And then, everyone's like, why are they trying to touch belly buttons?
Why does My Getaway always lock their dressing room 5 minutes before they go on?
Those guys, like, I heard they pray before they come out.
Kinda. It's a baptism of sorts.
It's a baptism of sorts. Then we should have did that, though. That, honestly, that would have really just helped, get it's like a trust thing.
Honestly, the more gay sex you have, the better a band you're going to be. I'm just going to say it.
Yeah, no, I mean, it really, like, you remember the Spartans? The Spartans used to do that. Like, they would go out to war, and when they went out to war or tour, they would just fuck each other.
Yeah, keep it in-house.
Yeah, keeps everybody happy and keeps everything good.
Honestly, what holds a band together is secrets.
That's right. Can you imagine if, like, really all the emo love songs were just because all the bands were fucking each other, and, like, it was really just all, like, that's what it was. It wasn't about girls. It was just all about the bandmates.
If you see any of the original lyric sheets, it always has to, like, cross out the name Josh. I don't say that because someone in your band's name was Josh. I'm saying that because everybody in our generation was named Josh.
Who are we kidding? It would have been about Josh in our band anyway, so.
Yeah, he was the hot one. just so glad we finally I can't believe we went this long without doing a Rancid album.
Yeah, dude. Like I'm ecstatic though to be doing it. Like it's like almost like hard because like we always like I want to be like kidding around during the episodes, but like this band, like I just have so much respect for her that I like I'm like no.
This is the most we've talked about music in like 7 episodes.
Yeah, no, I mean for real, like that's great. And like what I like too is like they have like mad respect for the game too. Even their album is, you know, it's a throwback to Minor Threat. I was like blanking there for a second, but
yeah, the cover.
Yeah, it's a very famous, like even like Nike at one point like tried to do it. They had like a Major Threat campaign, but it's literally like yeah, which is like fuck you Nike, like, get the fuck out of here.
That is the most not understanding the source material ever.
Yeah, it's like Kendall Jenner like going up and handing somebody a Pepsi at a protest. Fuck you.
Minor Threat is a band I could dig a couple of their songs, but like DC punk is like a whole nother fucking animal that I could just never like dig my teeth into.
Well, it's too much. It's like you're at the belly of the beast, and like what is going on there? And then like everything is just it's too much.
Yeah, when you're sitting at the fucking palace gates, you get angrier than everybody else.
Bad Brains I could handle though. That was that's always fun. But
dude, Bad Brains is fucking dope.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean though.
What would you say your like top 3 best songs on this album are?
This album, the first 7 or 8 songs on it, I love. And then I start to fade off from it, but I still will listen to it from time to time from start to finish. But I love Ruby Soho. I love Roots and Radicals. I love Time Bomb. I love Maxwell Murder. Maxwell Murder is probably my favorite song on the entire album. Just the way that opens up and hits you.
Yeah, with that like sound effect clip. And it's an album that opens with a fucking bass solo on the first track.
Yeah, no, that's what I was saying. And like that's what earlier where I was saying like they keep pivoting and changing. Maxwell Murder is like perfect because like it starts right off, it goes right into the guitars, then they come in with this infectious chant, then they stop everything and they just do a bass solo because why the fuck wouldn't you? And the song's over a minute and 25 seconds later.
Yeah, it's just like in, out, done, cut it.
Yeah,
there's just no fat. Like I will agree though that this album, like there is a back 9 to this album. Like the last like probably 9 songs on this album are weaker than the first 10.
Yeah,
with the exception of War's Over. War's Over is in the back half, but I think that's like a high point in the second half of the album.
Yeah.
But like they're not bad. It's just the first like 10 songs of this album are just a fucking masterclass, and then after that everything is like a step down just by
it's like it's too much. Like they're so good and they're coming at you so hard that you just like you get acclimated to it so quick. You know what I mean?
Right. It's like going from platinum to gold. Like if the last 9 songs on this album were just the songs of this album, it would still be a great album. But the first 10 on this album are so incredible that the back 9 I feel a little weaker.
Yeah, no, they're and like this is also like the whole Tim Armstrong and Lars Fredriksson, like the duo songwriting is like clicking. Like they are absolutely killing it.
They know their roles, you know what I mean? Like they know what they each would do on the song. Like it's a very hard thing to figure out of like, okay, you would sing this part and then Tim would come in and he would grunt. Their first 2 albums have their songs that Matt sings, and Matt doesn't sing on And Out Come the Wolves.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Because Matt is he's got like a little bit more of like a deeper, growlier, graspier, type of voice.
What do you do? Know who you are. The best way for me to drop out on tour. You went up to New York to go to school and go to roll with your parents. But I got a new perspective on you. All the good bad that we went through, I know you better than you know you. 'Cause I got a new perspective on you.
This album is just going to be Lars. It's going to be Tim, right?
Yep. And I don't think Matt sings again until Rancid 5, their second self-titled. I don't think Matt sings on Life Won't Wait.
Yeah, I love the second self-titled Rancid 5 because like I mean they put it out and it's an incredible album. Like I don't think it's a bad one at all. But it's definitely the first album that they're putting out on Hellcat. So it's kind of like, you know what I mean? Like it's almost like when you see like a movie star create like a new production company and then they get a really good script and their first movie is like their Oscar award-winning role. Like, you know what I mean? Like they put way too much into it.
Or there's a theory too that it's like backlash to people were like, they came out with Life Won't Wait, which is super ska, and people were like, they're not even a fucking punk band anymore. It's all just ska and like dance hall and reggae. And so they come out with fucking Rancid 5, which is all just like 2-minute songs, 240 beats per minute, just like it has dead bodies on it, like dead bodies everywhere. it's just like straight fuck you punk rock.
Which album is their most Operation Ivy, would you say? You were saying that before.
Life Won't Wait. That's the one that's like super ska and super dance hall. Because Operation Ivy was not a punk band by any stretch. They were very much a ska band.
Yeah, they were. They were absolutely a ska band in that sense.
But if you listen to Operation Ivy and then you listen to like Rancid's later stuff, like you can really hear like Tim has a very specific guitar playing style that like he just sticks with and like works.
Yeah, that's really true. He's
They're really like twangy high part.
Yeah,
like that. He has a very certain tone.
He's so crazy to me just how important he is just to music in general, and just how what's the word I'm looking for? It's like almost industrialist. Like, you know what I mean? Like he's constantly starting side projects. He's constantly starting like side labels. He's always got something going on. And even the bands that he's like signing to Hellcat, like he, you know, kind of has, you know, some say or some help in shaping and molding. Like the Interrupters, for instance, the band that you showed me that like I now am absolutely in love with. That's a band that he kind of put together. Like the one guitarist was one of his engineers that does a lot of his Hellcat work and a lot of work at the Transplants. I think he introduced the lead singer and the guitarist together, and they kind of like grew from that. You know what I mean? It's just cool, like how like this guy like really gets the community. Like he's not, they're not fake at all. Like they live and breathe it.
Oh, absolutely. And like it's insane to me too. Like, because he also has his own like side project of Tim Timebomb, which is like Rancid wasn't touring, so he just started its like solo project, and he has other people come on and do stuff. But like he has like 200 songs he's released just as himself. Like, and he's the Transplants. Like Tim Armstrong like can't stop making music. Like I think it's the only thing that keeps him sane.
Yeah, no, it's like definitely seems to be one of those things that it's very cathartic to him.
I was gonna actually read you like the kind of the hit list from Epitaph and like bands that he found and like signed and like they came out on. The Interrupters,
which is amazing.
Horror Pops,
awesome.
Which I don't know if you know, but they're fucking incredible.
Mm-hmm.
The Slackers, The Unseen, Westbound Train, Choking Victim, The Distillers, Dropkick Murphys. He discovered Dropkick Murphys.
That's freaking nuts.
Leftover Crack.
Leftover Crack. That's one of my very, very close friends' like favorite bands. I've gone and seen them a million times in the city. That band is fucking crazy, Aaron.
He actually ended up working with and signed Joe Strummer, his later band After the Clash. Joe Strummer and the Mescaleros released their stuff in the U.S. on Hellcat, which is like his idol.
Yeah, no, it's so cool just to see how much the guy is like getting done. You know what I mean? Like he just like nothing stops him. He just gets shit done.
Absolutely. Really quick, Matt Freeman too. The way Matt Freeman learned how to play bass was he would listen to old The Who records, because before Matt Freeman is the best punk bass player of all time, but one of the just all around best bass players of all time is John Entwistle from The Who.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's how Matt learned how to play bass, because the way old stereo records used to be mixed, you could, if you went to just one side, you could usually hear the bass a lot clearer because the way they would split stereo of the instruments.
Okay.
And he would just listen to and learn Who records. That's how Matt Freeman learned how to play bass the way he does. Because John Entwistle also played a really weird way where he'd play with all four fingers on his plucking hand.
That makes sense.
And he would like almost like a piano. He would like push, like tap down to pluck the string instead of strumming it or using his fingers the normal way. So that's why he has such a unique sound, and like that's how Matt Freeman learned all these crazy arpeggios and scales and how to go from note to note, was from listening to The Who.
One thing too, I have to say, like Matt, I have like a love-hate relationship with, and I'm gonna tread lightly here because I know he's like your idol of idols, but I single-handedly blame this guy for the wave of bassists that have just made every freaking band's life a living hell. Like every time like you were starting a punk band and you just wanted a bassist just to be able to just sit there and just basically run the roots for you so you could kind of build out the song. Every fucking bassist in high school wanted to just walk up and down the scales, wanted like, they could not just let the song like naturally go, because that's the thing that Matt does so beautifully, is he can do that, but he does it so perfectly that you don't hear it and it's not an annoyance in the song. Nobody else can do that.
Yeah, because he has something that all those bass players didn't, which is experience of having taste and restraint. Which I didn't have for when I was that age for years and years.
Yeah.
But no, you're totally right. But to be fair, I could name probably 100 guitar players that ruined how many lead guitar players? Eddie Van Halen.
That's true.
Stevie Ray Vaughan. Basically every famous guitar hero. Like bass players, we just had Matt.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, like, if you want to find any of these people, though, you can find them now working in a guitar center.
That is true. It's like the guys that like, yeah, can play Eruption note for note. You're like, Yeah, where are the 13 gauge strings?
Exactly. And then they don't help you, and then you remember that you can just get them on Amazon.
Yeah, Guitar Center is going bankrupt. Did you hear about that?
No, it doesn't shock me though.
Yeah, well, apparently they've been in debt to like everyone they buy stuff from for years. Like they have huge amounts of debts with like every pedal manufacturer. They owe tons of money to Fender and tons of money to Gibson.
Yeah, I mean it's sad, but it's it's inevitable. The customer service in that store though, like you almost had to like pass a bad personality test. Like if you failed the personality test, then they would offer you the actual gig to work there.
Yeah, it's the McDonald's of music stores.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I was going to say just recently I had to go in there to buy wires for the show. And I was like, this is a joke. Like me, like asking for help. Like it was almost like I was like waking them up and like making like, hey, can you come out of your bed real quick and jump in this cold shower for me before I leave?
Right. Well, you do sometimes get like the same thing at McDonald's. You get like a dude who you can tell it's his first week, who's like super helpful, super on the ball, really excited to tell you about the new Ibanez.
Yeah.
And you get that at McDonald's too. You get the dude who's like brand new, is like super happy to be like, you want a McRib? You want like, you got fried? Like who's super nice.
Yeah.
And you come back like 2 weeks later and he's like, fuck you, what you want?
Yeah, exactly. They get hardened really quick.
Yeah, I don't like. This is a weird episode because like it's hard for me to like know what I have and haven't said. It's also, like I said, I feel like this episode is going to ruin the curve for me for every band episode we ever do. Because if people listen to this episode, every other band we have ever done or will ever do, I will never be as excited about or as knowledgeable on.
You never know. We could do another Rancid album, Aaron.
That is true, and that'll be very easy for me.
Yeah, that would be very.
There's not many bands where I can name all the members in.
Yeah.
There's very few.
Let's do the Wikipedia test for this band. So looking on their Wikipedia, we're going to see how many of their actual members have links to their own Wikipedia page, which will tell us the importance of this band.
I'm going to guess all of them but Brett Reed.
Okay, let's see. Every single member of Rancid has a link to their own personal page.
Even Brett?
Even Brett. He only has 2 sentences for his personal page, but he does have a link to a personal page.
Oh, respect. I wasn't trying to diss on Brett Reed. He's a great, solid drummer. If I had to guess who wouldn't, because I know Brandon had, the U's and all that bullshit.
Yeah.
But I knew Lars would because he has like Lars and the Bastards, and he is like, by the way, Lars Fredrickson and the Bastards, if you love Lars, it's like Rancid, but just Lars.
Yeah, no, I love Lars.
It's like Rancid without the Tim parts.
I really liked Lars Fredrickson and the Bastards. When I was younger, I used to listen to them a lot, like in high school. What made Brett Reed quit the band? Do you know?
I don't.
Yeah.
I think he just got tired and got old. Like punk drummers, man, it's like being a car where you just get so many miles on you. It's hard to do. Because like most bands, like The Offspring, like they've changed out drummers a couple times. Like most punk bands, I feel like the drummer is the one. Like I said, they just get too many miles on them. Because like punk drumming is like it's running a goddamn marathon every night.
Oh yeah, it's like literally like a steampunk engine that has to run on like full octane for like 45 minutes.
Right? It's like the only thing that I think would be harder would be metal drumming.
That's why Slipknot needs like 7 other drummers though to balance out the one drummer.
Right? Slipknot. I would never do an episode on Slipknot because I don't know anything about them except they're from Iowa.
So there was the big controversy when Rancid was moving up to Warner Brothers. A lot of people were really upset with that. And then that was the only album that they actually had come out on a major record label, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, that's so insane. After that, everything was put out on Hellcat, which is just, Tim Armstrong's Imprint. We were talking about that before. I was just thinking the only other time I've seen that, and this kind of just like puts it into perspective as to what Tim Armstrong is to like, the music industry, is Pete Wentz. Pete Wentz had Decadence, which is a subsidiary of Fueled by Ramen. That's the only other independent label I can think of that had another band on their roster that was that influential, Fall Out Boy, where they had to actually give like the one main guy like whatever he wanted.
Well, that didn't happen with Feldman too. Didn't he start bringing people to his label and then they didn't cut him in, so he became a producer? He like started doing A&R. Yeah.
Feldman was doing like A&R, but I don't think Feldman ever had like a subsidiary record label. You know what I mean? Like he was basically working as the manager or the A&R. Like he was getting a lot on the back end for bands, but like I don't think he was actually to a point where like the record label's like, oh yeah, you can have a Goldfinger wing and like it's just all Goldfinger babies. Like that's like, which is insane because like Feldman is, he's a heavyweight.
He is just as influential as an A&R and producer as he is as a musician, but like completely separately. Like he is the songwriter and dude from Goldfinger, but he is also the reason why why Cherry Poppin' Daddies made it to the radio.
Oh, 100%. I was playing Superman today, and my sister-in-law walked by, and she's like, oh my God, what video game was this? And like immediately, like it was Tony Hawk. Yeah, exactly. And it's just like, it's that powerful of a song and a band. You know what I mean?
Which is weird because like Superman, it's a great song, but it's not my favorite Goldfinger song. I think I like Here in Your Bedroom more.
That's a great song. Yeah, I like that song a lot too.
We should do Goldfinger at some point because, like,
I would love to.
If we did Goldfinger, we should just do their first 3 albums because, like, I can't pick one.
Yeah, no, well, absolutely. We'll clump them all together. We'll do like a lifetime achievement award.
Right? Is there anything else you got? Any other notes?
Yeah, no. I mean, I don't have a lot. I honestly, dude, I have so much respect for this band. Just the authenticity, the fact that like no matter what, Tim Armstrong succeeds at whatever he wants to do, to me is just absolutely insane. And when you take a look at the guy, I'm not doing this to knock him, it doesn't look like he's working with a lot. Like he plays guitar, he's now got like a huge lumberjack beard, he's bald, he's got tattoos everywhere. You can't understand anything he says. And the guy just gets shit done. Like shit done.
Yeah, he's like a musical savant.
Yeah, it's like, what's your excuse?
You can enunciate every word you say. Why aren't you doing half the shit he does?
Like just to be that authentic, that hard, and that poppy, but not being like sellout poppy. You know what I mean?
They have hooks, but exactly, they're not like cheesy pop songy at all.
Again, with the comic analogy, but it's like it's such a well crafted joke, and it's not hack. You're like, oh my God, that was such a good angle on that. Why didn't I see that?
You know who, if they were a comic, who I relate them to is Bill Burr.
Bill Burr?
Yeah, they're very popular. They're very respected by comics. Like they're successful, but they're still not like sugar pot, like palatable.
Yeah, they did it very authentically too. Like, you know what I mean? The right way.
Yeah. Like they would still like Bill Burr, he did his monologue on SNL and it was silent, you know?
Oh,
like,
oh yeah. And it was genius what he was saying.
Yeah, because he's still just fucking doing him, you know?
Yeah, and I just like to like they go up to the major record label, they get a lot of shit from everybody, and then immediately they correct and they realize like, okay, that's not the way to go. So then they just start their own record label.
Yeah. Also, Pink's album Trouble?
Yes.
Tim co-wrote and produced that album.
That's absolutely insane. Doesn't shock me though. The guy's incredible. Like you don't realize like how talented he is.
The song Trouble by Pink was originally a song Tim wrote for Rancid, but realized was too poppy to be a Rancid song. So he gave it to Pink and he like co-wrote that album with her.
That's so nuts. I don't know. I think we just need to leave it on that.
All right. Oh, really quick. What do you give this album out of 10? Or was it out of 5? I don't remember.
Let's do it out of 5. We always do it out of 5. I mean, if you don't give this a 5 out of 5, like get the fuck out of here.
Right? Like
it's like this is like that's what I like too is like this episode like we didn't really conflict a lot. we got a lot done in a short amount of time, but like we're both in agreement here. Like there's nothing wrong with this. This is a masterpiece. It's one of the most important albums ever created. And if you haven't listened to it and you haven't studied it, like you need to go back and do your homework.
Absolutely. This is like I think this is the first time you and I have both like fangirled the entire like episode.
Yeah, maybe Set Your Goals was like another one that was close to that, but this one's like Respect Fangirl.
On that note, I'm Aaron Haag.
And I'm John Brian.
Stay punk.